Our presentation is on why the minimum age to buy a gun should be 25 in the United States.
Federal law sets a dangerously low minimum age for buying firearms. Many states have raised the age-bearing handgun sales to people under 18, regardless of whether the purchase is from a dealer or an unlicensed seller.
So a federal judge in Colorado had ruled against a bill that tried to block the underage purchase of firearms and deemed it immediately unconstitutional. And similarly, the NRA, after Trump had backed the he backed off calling for firearm ages to be raised, and Trump also cited militias as against gun purchases for gun purchase age limits for older teens.
"18-year-olds committed gun homicides at 3 times the rate of adults 21 and up, and people between 17 and 23 are the most volatile, impulsive, and violent. And with that, firearm suicide has increased 41% in this group in a singular decade." Pictured here are the states that have adopted laws about minimum gun purchase age. And in contrast, this is the map of the urban counties with the highest firearm homicide rates from 2014 to 2018. You see that they're fairly similar. They mirror each other. Ages 18 to 24 face the highest violent crime, arrest, or victimization of any other group. And 25 is a much more reasonable age to buy a gun because violent crimes could be curbed somewhat. And this graph depicts just that. It's the arrest rates for violent offenses before the age of 24, and you can see that right here is where 24 is. This is the highest point, and it goes downwards from there. With less access to firearms, suicide rates would be much lower. 1.8 per 100,000 suicides are by firearm, and that's compared to 0.2 per 1,000 suicides in other countries than the US. Removing accessibility to guns would make it harder for teens to commit suicide by firearm. This would lead to less impulsivity and less deaths. It is important to note that suicides by gun are included in gun violence statistics. Murders are often committed by people between 17 and 30, and an average of 110 Americans die a day of gun violence. This is how many guns were seized from teens 17 and under in Arizona per year, and as you can see, this rate is rising.
So my job was to determine which country offers the best model for the US to follow revolving guns and gun violence. And after a good amount of research and looking back at some of the class readings, I decided on Israel. I just wanted to share this fact. It kind of startled me. Only 1.9% of guns in the US are registered, and about 29% of the country's firearm-related violence is committed with an unregistered gun. In Israel, it's virtually impossible to acquire an unregistered gun, and if you somehow manage to get one, the repercussions are very harsh. So now I'll talk about why we may want to adopt some of Israel's laws. The first reason is because they're working. In 2019, there were 125 deaths by firearm in Israel. In the US, there were 15,000 that year. These graphs kind of help put those words into perspective. Our group believe it comes down to one thing, and that's the age at which you can buy and own a gun. As Madeline said, young people age 18 to 20 commit homicides at triple the rate of adults 21 and older. Raising the age limit, like Israel has done, stops teens and adults from making irrational, impulsive decisions. So now I'll talk about the actual gun laws that are in Israel. Any Israel civilian with no military background must wait until they are 27 to even be considered to buy a gun. You must have been and born an Israel citizen your whole life. Additionally, buyers must demonstrate a genuine need for a gun. About 40% of the requests are actually denied. Contrary, in America, if an 18-year-old woke up and decided they wanted to buy a gun, they could go to a seller or a gun show and walk away with one in minutes, and he will have committed no crimes by doing so. So, I think it's kind of important to note right now the gun laws in Israel are changing. Gun shop owners are dealing with huge lines, staying open late, and in one case, opening on the Jewish Sabbath to deal with the demand. This is because their current conflict with Hamas. Israel's once tight gun laws are now more loose than ever, allowing thousands of civilians the access to guns. There were roughly 41,000 new applicants for gun permits, making a lot of people wonder what this will do to Israel gun laws and what Israel gun laws will look like after this conflict.
My job was to have a counter argument to what Madeline said. And it is, suicide rates would go down, but it wouldn't stop the kids from obtaining guns illegally, and that could land them in even more trouble than what they were in the first place. Well, people 17 to 23 are more volatile, violent, and impulsive. There's also a reason for that. I don't think it's because they just want to go out and shoot people. I believe that it has something to do with mental illness and depression. I feel like that's a lead cause to people wanting to go out and commit the heinous acts that they commit in killing people.
All right, thank you.